Austin Theory unmasks at the end of Raw, and that is what we have to talk about post John Cena going into the holidays. I'm interested to see if this works, Sean. He has a new look. He looked intense. My thought was, I have lots of thoughts on this, and we've speculated about Austin Theory for weeks.
Right.
But my thought was, there was like Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett had apparently no direction on how to react to this. It's Austin Theory. Okay, go, keep going. Tell us more. What do you think of it being Austin Theory? We haven't seen him in months. Last time, and the problem is, and I mean, I know their rationale for doing it, which is the last time he was doing comedy mid-card work with Grayson Waller, and then he was injured. But I still think they should, as Jim Ross always said, the job of the announcer isn't just to call holds, it's to ask questions that you want fans or viewers thinking about, especially going into a commercial break or when a show is coming to an end. And they didn't ask those questions. I mean, what does this mean? The Vision appears more dangerous than ever. Well, why? I just wanted Wade Barrett to go, Austin Theory has came into WWE with so much promise after his run in NXT, and he got sidetracked with nonsense. And now, if he is under the auspices of under the auspices of Paul Heyman, if Heyman brings him into the fold, if he's not, if it wasn't preordained, this guy might reach the level everyone thought he was going to. Just something to acknowledge what everybody's thinking, which is, except, the Austin Theory fans are like, yeah, but a lot of viewers at home, the average mainstream viewer is going, Austin Theory? That's the big surprise. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little worried closing a show with that without additional context if I'm WWE, I don't care about social media in this case. It's just like they're playing long ball. Same thing with the finish on Saturday. They're playing long ball. They can handle it. They shouldn't overreact to it. Sean, what do you think about my take on it, and what's yours?
No, I agree with you. When they brought it up, it was just like they didn't really make it a big deal. Make Austin Theory feel like a big deal, and they really had their chance and they kind of blew it. I hope they make up for it. I mean, on the next week, because I don't know how you can not talk about that more. I mean, make it feel like, okay, this guy's with the Vision. This is a big deal. Or asking if is he with them? Talk about that. This is his chance, really, to sink or swim. Really, I think this is the chance we see who Austin Theory truly is as a character. Can he really take off with this and make something of it and talk about why he's doing what he's doing? Make it feel important. Make it feel like he's a new person. He's revived. He's the announcers didn't do a good job tonight with that at all. That hurt it a little bit for me too.
I think the job of wrestling company, one of the jobs of a promoter, the way you present the product, is make sure you address what the viewers at home are thinking and direct it in the way you want those thoughts to go. You don't want to look like you're pretending something that the viewers aren't thinking something that they are, especially if it seems like you're trying to avoid the subject, which is Austin Theory, that mid-card comedy guy. If you don't acknowledge that a lot of viewers are thinking that, all of a sudden viewers go, they're trying to put something over on me, and I'm not buying it. So you want to own it, and that's where I'd be like, Wade Barrett should say, I know how wrestlers feel about Austin Theory. Underachiever with all the potential in the world. He's been underachieving. He has incredible athletic skill. But you know what everyone says? He's been hanging around with unserious people. And Austin Theory, when he got injured, I heard Austin Theory talk to some people, getting advice from some veterans, and they said, you got to start taking some initiative. The clock is ticking. You're in your late 20s, and you have potential to be great. It's time to get serious. And Logan Paul disappeared off the radar, and people wondered what happened to him. Again, you don't have to do all of that, but something along those lines. And now you've told viewers, yes, everyone was thinking what you're thinking. Austin Theory, but now you're giving me new information. This guy, respected veterans, current wrestlers, retired veterans, think he's got all the tools, but he's been around unserious people. And fans go, oh, yeah, Grayson Waller. Oh, yeah, The Way with Gargano. And they go, yeah, that rings true to me. Even Seth Rollins, not necessarily a great mentor. Seth is sort of a unserious person, even with all his success. You don't necessarily see Seth as being somebody who'd be like, I'm going to help you be great, because Seth's just so self-absorbed. So even Barrett could have added that. Unserious people and self-absorbed people who weren't out to help him, but to use him. So I don't know. I would have liked a little of that. Obviously, they have time to do that. But yeah, Mark Biscotti in the chat, John, says Theory doesn't belong in a main event angle, and the announcer should have met that objection. Yeah, yep. Gilbert Arbalo says Michael Cole would have had a million questions going off the air.
Right, yeah.
Derek Mitchell, regular in the chat, says Austin Theory without context is just a guy that was doing comedy similar to Jinder Mahal and 3MB and coming back as a main eventer and winning the WWE title. Well, it worked fine for Drew, but they reframed him. Jack Reeves says you can make someone over quick with the right backing, but in this case, a lot needs doing. He's no longer the guy I read about when he was champion and Evolve 7 to 8 years ago. Jay in Hartford, good to see you, Jay. Longtime Torch follower and reader. Looking forward to this version of Austin Theory. I'm sure Heyman on the mic will help tell the story we need to hear. Let's pause to read the chat comments there, Sean. Let me ask you, what do you make of the breadcrumbs, the clues, the context that's been given? Heyman is saying, I don't know. I kind of take him at face value. I don't think Heyman knew. I think Heyman was being truthful when he said, I don't know who it is, but if his values are aligned with us, I don't feel guilty. I feel, fortunate, whatever the exact phrase was. I will accept someone's help who's helping take down my enemies. And so was Austin Theory auditioning, or does Austin Theory have a sponsor? It's been pretty clear, unless he's a liar, and I don't see the storyline purpose for it, that Braun Breaker's made it really clear he didn't know who this guy was. Now, maybe it would turn out he was just lying, and heels lie. But it's possible that, in the chat was speculating about this earlier, is this a Logan Paul recruit? Is this Logan Paul going into business for himself a little bit? In fact, Darrell Freeman says, so Theory was brought in by Logan Paul. What do you think of that possibility?
Yeah, I was. Of course, I was in the chat, so kind of went with it initially. Mm-hmm. I like the thought of it. I mean, I think that's maybe why Logan has been kind of getting with them. Just get, let's get focused on the match. Let me get focused on what I'm trying to do, beat Ray, and then obviously, I think he might have had the plan was to have Austin help him, and he's probably been talking to Austin back, the whole time, like, hey, let's plan this. This is what we're thinking of doing. I think it'd be interesting. I mean, they got to explain why Logan would want him in there. And again, they got to make Austin Theory feel important and make this feel like, okay, he did all this stupid, like you said, they got to just have that backstory, talk about that, like make it feel, make us understand why this is, why he would want to be with this group and why he would want to get on his own and do his own thing and be that alpha that he's been wanting to be for a while. And so, yeah, I think Logan bringing him in, I think it works. I think it makes sense with what Logan's been doing in the division too. So I like it.
Yep. Other comments in the chat. Just some people, some train of thought that people had watching this. MD87 Punk says, before Theory took off the hood and mask, when you could just see his eyes, I could have sworn it was about to be LA Knight. By the way, were you sleuthing? Did you try to look into it? If I wasn't just trying to keep up on what was happening and do the post show here, I would have pushed pause and tried to zoom in on the eyes just to see if who it was, because it could have been some random guy playing the part, this week, if they weren't going to reveal him. Didn't always have to be Austin Theory. But he better have something similar to the Austin Theory body shape, or people would notice.
Yeah, I could tell. To me, I could kind of tell last week that it was him just by his body shape and then the look of him, because it just looked. I was like, that's got to be him. And then when I did see the eyes, and it kind of did give it away more that it was him. But I kind of, psyched myself out, and I was like, oh great, who is somebody else's? I have no idea who this is, but I just knew it was him. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I just kept it just makes sense. He's been gone for a long time. This was a way to get him back up and make him feel, again, if the announcers will make it feel like a bigger deal and make it feel why he's with them and all that stuff. Hopefully they got to do that the next few weeks. They really got to tell you more about why he's with them, or if he is with them, why.
Gilbert Arbalo says the baggy eyes look like it could have been Karrion
That would have been something.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't cross my mind it would have been him, just because I just kind of know how they feel about him, and they're not going to give him that spot. And Darrell goes, it wasn't the biggest reveal, but now let's see how it goes. I think it's fair to have a wait and see attitude. By the way, did you like Austin Theory's new look? The kind of close cropped hair, the more serious look. Because the thing with Theory is he always had sort of this like a little comedic twinkle in his eye. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. He just never felt like super, super serious and intense. Or if he did, it felt sort of like performative and like, oh, isn't that adorable? He's trying to be serious. Like he had that vibe to him. This felt like someone being a little more like grown up to me.
Yeah, I don't know who somebody brought this up a long time ago, and I'm kind of with them. The facial hair, I don't like the facial hair. I wish he'd kind of get rid of it. It looked better tonight than it has in the past, but I wish he'd just go kind of just shave it all and just everything. I think that would make him look a little bit more serious. But the facial hair was better tonight than it has been in the past, so going in the right direction for me. But I liked it. No, shaved head, good look, more serious look. I liked it.
Yep. Jack Reeves says, not sure on Austin Theory. I think he's good, but given the way he was booked before the injury, I think work needs to be done to make me care. And Darrell says, wasn't the biggest reveal, but now let's see how it goes. And there was another comment here. Oh, yeah, Adam Kidd says, I almost thought it was Dom for a second. That would have been something. I mean, would make no sense for it to be Dom. But hey, I've been surprised before, and sometimes they throw a big twist in. Somebody named Sean Plichta says, this makes Theory feel important. If he can't make this work, then I don't know if it'll ever work. Sean, what do you think about what Sean has to say?
I think I'm with him completely, 100%. Sean, you're smart. You're a smart guy in there. I don't know. I need to talk to you more often. And Adam, I don't need to talk to because he's trying to diss me in the chat, so I can't talk to him anymore. I can't think of him anymore.
Do you think it's going to work?
Oh well, that's a very forward question. I think it will. I think with Heyman and all the guys in this, I think they will do a good job of framing it and making it a big deal. And I think he has this enough serious chops where I think I love his upside anyway. So I think he'll make this work. I think if, like I said, if he can't, then I don't see it happening. But I think he'll make this work. I think this will be good. I think WWE will do a good job telling a story here.
The our speculation on it being Austin Theory, who recruited him. Oh, by the way, Anthony B says, I like this. It's make or break for Austin. So similar sentiments there. Mark Biscotti said Logan Paul was ready to fight. And adds, Logan showed zero awareness of who he was, or at least he expressed it. Maybe it was he's trying to hide from Heyman that he brought this guy in. If it was a covert plot that either he'll later admit or will be revealed. Darrell says Logan is the only real heel in the group, and you can use him to get over Theory, who doesn't need to talk. Yet again, Logan, who needs to talk? Yet let Logan talk, and then Heyman talk and explain. And exactly, right along those lines, we'll get something like that. Derek Mitchell says, I thought last week was Montez Ford. Adam Kidd said Montez would have been a great choice. That'd have been a lot of fun. A lot of people want to see. I've given up on it a little, but a lot of people want to see Montez be a breakout singles guy. My impression is in WWE, for whatever reason, I don't really have a good specific. They just don't think that's in the cards for him. They're just it's one of those things. It's just reading them being around him, I think, has made them conclude they're not ready to kind of invest in him in that way. I'm not endorsing or decrying that. I'm just kind of stating that's the vibes I'm getting. Adam Kidd said he had dead eyes tonight. And Real Legend 326 says his new look is kind of generic, but it worked with Fletcher. So let's see. Ooh, interesting. Kyle Fletcher, Austin Theory. Interesting comparison. Yeah. Like, can they turn Austin Theory as successful as Kyle Fletcher has been in AEW? Jane Hartford says everything WWE does is intentional. I wish they gave more lip service to the Theory reveal, but it's a cliffhanger for sure. We all want to see and hear the follow-up. Yeah, I don't need every answer, but I just wish the announcers would have said a few things that fans are thinking at home and then reacted to it. All right. Well, let's one more thing here. Fan Blast says Theory just doesn't look tough at all. His mean face ain't it. And that is an issue. That's the whole thing I'm getting at. Does a mean face look like it's performative? It's put on. It's not really what he's feeling. He's one of those people who would benefit because I think he's showed a great touch in NXT for comedy. I'm a fan of his range. I'm a fan of his comedic range, but acting class to manifest some actual sinister vibes, I think would be helpful, and we'll see how he does. I mean, this is not a small spot to be given.
No.
This is a sign of confidence in Austin Theory. What this says is Paul Heyman, who has influence in that company, with who he associates with at the very least, wants Austin Theory associated with him. I mean, for people who doubt Austin Theory, you can keep doubting him, but factor in this is an indication that somebody a lot of people respect and has a good eye for talent is wanting to be in the mix with Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. You know, I mean, that means somebody, it's possible Paul Levesque's forcing this on Paul Heyman, and Paul's like, no, I liked him a few years ago, but it's too late now. I mean, I don't know, but I'm figuring Heyman has enough pull where if he didn't want Logan Paul to be associated with the storyline he's involved in, and he didn't think it was a good idea, I'll put it this way, we'll find out quickly. Because we kind of found out quickly with Seth and Heyman that there wasn't great chemistry there. That Seth was sort of a conduit to get somewhere else, but they never really embraced the chemistry. Maybe that's what's going on with Theory, but obviously Theory is more of a project than a star. Seth helped move the storyline of the Vision along. Theory's not going to help anything with the Vision. I was going to say the Theory. The Vision, they changed the name of the Theory. The Vision, no, they should. The Theory is there to help. The Vision is there to help Austin Theory be elevated. So we'll see. And this could be a way to set up Braun Breaker as a singles guy, and then Bronson Reed and Austin Theory as a tag team. I mean, that might be part of the thought process here. I don't know how they would mesh together as a team. In fact, Ice Fishing Boyd says, which member from the Vision would you set as a tag team? Well, I just accidentally answered that. Well, I didn't. I answered that for you, Ice, before I put your question up there. Sean, what do you think about that? Obviously, Breaker, they're pushing as singles, but Logan in Theories, to me, might work better. It just depends on what Theory brings, and I don't know what he's going to bring, personality-wise.
Yeah, I think it's a little too early, but I feel like if they did a tag team, Austin and Logan would make more sense. But, I mean, you could do Austin with some of the stuff he does in the ring with Bronson. I think it could be okay. I mean, but I would do Logan and Austin if I was just saying right now who I would want a tag team with all four of those guys, because Bronson's a single star, obviously, so it wouldn't be him.
Yeah. Mark Biscotti says, if Heyman isn't doing this, the whole thing feels weird. I think it means if Heyman's not orchestrating Theory being part of the group. But yeah. I mean, I think there's room for Logan to have done this and Heyman to be okay with it and say, hey, Logan, check with me next time, but this worked out well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could see different ways this could work out. Yeah,
and I'll say, going back to Theory, there was a time before it was kind of around the stuff with Cena, which obviously didn't end up working out well for him, but a little bit after that, he had a good heel vibe, the arrogant vibe. I did like some of the serious stuff he did there for a little bit, but he's got to show more of that. But there's potential definitely there. He just has to just roll with it and do the best he can with it.
Just a couple other chat comments here, and then we'll bring our scheduled co-host who was having computer problems into the show and boot Sean right off the show until maybe he wants to come back later. We'll see. But first, a couple other comments here. Derek Mitchell says, I'm not a fan of the idea of Logan recruiting Theory into the Vision, as Heyman should be the one who brings in talent. Well, certainly that should be addressed. I mean, but I'm open to Heyman. Again, I'm open to Heyman being mad at Theory, at Logan, or I'm okay with Heyman being happy about it and going, Logan, I wouldn't have said yes, but this worked out. You're coming along, my boy. You've impressed me. I mean, I don't know. And I'm curious how Braun Breaker responds if he truly wasn't in the loop. If Logan or Heyman were. But this could be Theory going into business for himself, and he's a lone wolf, and he's not going to join the Vision, and it's a whole other storyline that we're not considering. I'm just throwing it out there. And Adam Kidd brings up, I need an explanation on why he's doing Seth's moves. Sean, is that just a red herring? Or is it because they've got a history of working together, 5 years ago? Like what storyline wise in canon would be the reason for Theory to try to throw people off this, not throw people off the scent, but to make people think it was Seth?
That's a good question. When he first did the stomp the first week, I was like, yeah, I don't understand why because we knew it wasn't Seth. So I was like, okay, why would he be doing that? I don't really honestly don't know. He could just say, hey, I think that's all it is. He just wanted people to think it was Seth, even though we knew it wasn't. But I don't know if there's a big other reason why he would do something like that or make it that obvious.
Anthony B9226 goes, I hope he switches his promo and talking style. That's my biggest hang up with him. He talks so cartoonish. Absolutely. Austin Theory was not doing main event promos. I mean, so if he's got it in him, he's got to show it. If he doesn't, it's not going to be great. FanBless says, thing is, you don't drag out a reveal and have it be Theory. Disappointment abounds. If it's him, you reveal it right away. I get that point. You know, I mean, and I think they were dealing with that tonight. Like, Austin Theory? Like, I think a lot of people at home were just like, well, that's a letdown. Because people were, you know, even though the way I follow WWE and interpret what's going on and hear what's going on, I didn't think Dom or Karrion Kross or Seth even were options. I mean, I just thought it's, or Orton. I mean, the people who were speculated about didn't make a ton of sense to me. And so, you know, once I heard the Austin Theory rumor, which didn't have to do with him being in the mask, but just he might be part of the War Games. And I think this might have predated Seth's injury when they started talking about bringing him in. So this could be an audible. They were committed to doing something with Theory, but because of Seth's injury, they had to change plans up, and then this happened. I'd have to plot out the timeline in my head to be 100% sure on my thinking here. But it just made more sense for it to be Theory. But do you think it was a mistake to, I don't want to say drag it out because that's a loaded statement, but do you think they played this out too many weeks? Or, and we have to factor this in, they just didn't want it lost in the Cena retirement focus. So they just had to wait till this week. They might have even thought, yeah, it's tough. This is building something up a lot more than maybe we think the reveal will have an instant impact. But we just have to. We can't reveal Theory before Cena retires because anything done there would just be lost in the mix.
That's what I think they did. And I don't think it was that long, but if it had been a few more weeks, it would have been like, all right, we got to figure out who this guy, we got to just unmask the guy and figure, you know, because it just, after a month, 2 months, like, all right, this is ridiculous. But yeah, I think the Cena, they wanted him to have his moment and then do it afterwards. And it made more sense that way.
Jay in Hartford goes, he doesn't need a mean face, meaning Theory. He's not Braun or Bronson. He's more similar to Logan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm not against Theory being chosen.
No,
I've long
totally
been an advocate for him having an upside. It's turned into kind of a running bit. But I'm not sure it's, I mean, as much as I'm an advocate for giving him a chance like this, I don't know that they're going to handle it well, and B, I don't know if Theory's going to step up and be able to portray himself this way. But I think as a 28-year-old with the type of what he has shown me so far, you know, when we're talking about who could Cena put over this year where he could be a guy putting over young talent, and it's like, I was critical of Cena for not, doing that enough before the Dom feud and then the NXT stipulation at Sunday's main event. I was critical of John Cena for just, it was sort of a greatest hits tour. But then you look at the roster and go, well, who are you going to do? Who are you going to have Cena wrestle? They don't have a lot of people in their late 20s other than Dom. Everybody Cena's wrestling is like 39 and older. So this is, or someone like Breakker who just wasn't ready. If the story's going to be all about Cena, I'm not sure if you're Breakker, you even want to be in a Cena feud. So to me, like, Theory was one of those guys, but Theory wasn't right. He wasn't ready for the spot either. The opportunity with Cena.
No,
the opportunity. Yeah, the opportunity of Cena. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I agree. When you bring Kurt on, I'd love to just get back on because I had a few questions I was going to ask you anyway. So whenever you I'll come back on whenever you let me.
Cool, sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
Right. Yep.
All right, let's. So we're going to switch here and bring our scheduled co-host Kurt Cadet into the program, and we're going to set the table and introduce the show. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show on Monday, December 15th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of Pro Wrestling Torch, the weekly paper copy newsletter, and the website PWTorch.com. I host the red logo shows and the blue logo shows. The Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post shows are the red logo show after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. And then the blue logo show is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast. The Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast includes pay-per-view previews and the weekly flagship. You can look for the weekly flagship tomorrow, and you can send your questions for the flagship to Wade Keller podcast at gmail.com. That's Wade Keller podcast at gmail.com. If you want to email us tonight, the email address is wadekellerpostshow at gmail.com. You can also join us in the chat. We've already thrown chat comments up there, and we welcome you to join us in the chat if you're watching us live. If you're not watching us live, you can find a link to our live show in my TV reports at PWTorch.com, covering Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Or you can just subscribe to the YouTube channel, search PWTorch or Wade Keller, subscribe, and then set an alarm that will notify you when we're scheduled to go live. So, Kurt, great to have you here. Sorry to hear about the technical issues. It happens. Computers don't always cooperate, but you are set up with your phone, it looks like, and it's great to have you here, Kurt.
Yep, glad to be here. And yes, it's been a crazy few days in this world of wrestling, especially even tonight on Raw. Thank you to Sean for filling in for the few minutes while I was, fixing my issues. And yeah, I'm ready to break it down and everything that happened, especially what happened at the end of the show. I think most of us pretty much knew that Austin Theory was going to be the guy underneath the hoodie. I'm glad they kind of got it over with as opposed to dragging this out for a month. And yeah, the reaction was a little, I guess, not as in shock or as enthusiastic as you maybe thought they would be, but at least they got it over with. They ripped off the band-aid and we could all move on with this whole storyline. And I think if anybody he's going to be a tag team with going forward as far as the vision goes, I think it's going to be him and Paul, because I feel like Paul could definitely rub off on him, but as far as his douchebag attitude and whatnot, that would definitely fit Theory very well in a sense. So I definitely see that happening. And yeah, it was a cool reveal. It was okay. And I'm just glad they got it over with. And Breaker looked strong over Punk at the end of the show, which is a sign of possibly things to come that Raw on January 5th, which I'll be there at. And yeah, I'll say that was a major highlight of the show. Also, the opening of the show with Gunther, that was definitely something to watch, to say the very least.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. When you said that they Theory can be a d-bag with Logan, I'm thinking, well, what team name could they have where they sort of stumble into that? And I was thinking of some terrible team names like the Dynamic Boys. I don't know. Let's workshop this a little bit. But then the fans can chant, d-bags at them if they come up with a team name that sort of plays on those words, and they can act like they didn't know it was going to happen, and then it did. Because, man, those two, I mean, when I say what Austin Theory needs to be, maybe he doesn't need to be a serious heel. Maybe he just needs to be a d-bag, and he gets a rub from Logan Paul in that way. Kurt, well, before I throw any on that, just tell people about your Raw Feud Track, your contributions to the Torch, and then we'll move on to more on this, because I want to get more thoughts of you on Theory, and then we'll get into Gunther and the Cena follow-up for sure.
Yes, I write weekly reviews for Monday Night Raw, the Raw Feud Tracker. I do it every week, been doing it for the past year or so. I occasionally do a show with Chris Adams called Catching the Culture, where we talk about different wrestling storylines, events, and movies that came out around the same time. Our most recent episode, we covered the Titanic movie from 1997 and also Starrcade 97, which happened around the same time, because obviously as the Titanic hit the iceberg, Starrcade 97, if you watch that show from start to finish, that's when WCW hit the iceberg and there was no turning back. So yeah, catch some of those shows. We've done many an episode over these past few months. And yes, let us know what you think. And yeah, it's definitely been a crazy weekend, a lot of controversy. And I think last Saturday was the exclamation point on the whole creative process of WWE this whole year.
We will get into that as our B topic, because you missed the A block. The A topic. Let's expand on that a little bit here. So we talked a few minutes ago, Sean and I, about the announcers not framing Austin Theory. The crowd might not even have known who it was. I mean, I don't know how big his face was on the screen, how many people instantly recognized him. He's been off TV for a while, has a little bit different look. So what did you think of how not that they chose him, but how his reveal was handled?
It was a little ridiculous. I kind of feel like they should have done it inside the ring as opposed to him just running away into the audience and then he reveals it. I mean, they could have beaten down Punk and done that same thing and had him in the ring still, and then after that he reveals it. I feel like it would have hit a lot harder doing it that way as opposed to the way they did it. But like I said, when I posted the show with you 2 weeks ago, I just think they should have gotten it over with so we could move on. They finally did tonight, and now he's a part of the group. And yeah, it wasn't the best reveal ever. Even Diamond Dallas Page's reveal when he was Undertaker's wife stalker a few years ago was a better reveal than this. And yeah, it just was what it was. They got it over with. We could finally move on. And yeah, it is what it is. I just hope that this works out for Austin Theory, because he's had a lot of chances in the last couple of years and a lot of them didn't work out. So in many ways, this is his last chance to prove that he can be a star and be a player. And I sincerely hope for his sake that it works.
When you say chances that he was given didn't work out, I want examples, because my thinking is they just haven't given him a chance to be serious. But when he was unserious, I was entertained by him. So what do you think that they tried with him that didn't work? Because it almost feels like what they tried with him was just aiming for singles instead of triples, and it sort of worked because he was sort of entertaining. It just felt like underachieving.
I think it was doing great when he was Vince's protege, like right before Vince got X'd out. But then when Triple H took over, I feel like if there's anybody who's been a victim of Triple H's booking, Austin Theory would be one of those people, from cashing in the Money in the Bank for the United States title, and then he doesn't even win it. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing to the kid? How like unseriously do you want us to take this person? And then I know eventually he got it, and then he beat John Cena at WrestleMania. But let's be honest, that win meant absolutely nothing. If anything, his career worsened after that match at WrestleMania with Cena, because just from that promo alone that Cena did to him in the weeks leading up, it's kind of like, how do you bounce back from that? And even the win wasn't enough to bounce back from that. And from then on, it just kind of been a downward spiral in a sense. I know he was a tag team champion with Grayson Waller, but that really didn't last very long. It didn't really light the world on fire. And just from these last few years, it's been a downward spiral for him ever since, Triple H has been running the book. And I just hope that, they do right by him this time. I hope it works. And I hope he's, on the level of performing to make it work, because at the end of the day, if this doesn't work, I can say that he doesn't have anybody to blame but himself, but hopefully it does.
Yeah. I want to follow up on that. Do you think he's been given good faith opportunities and he's come up short? Or what it sounds like to me is you're saying he hasn't been given good faith opportunities. Cena buried him. Triple H wasn't a believer in him. He was put in a comedy tag team. So what opportunity? Because it sounds like you're criticizing the booking more than Theory taking advantage of opportunities. Is that a correct interpretation? Because this feels like a new category now. This isn't his last chance. I would argue, based on what you said, this is his first chance to actually show he can be a serious player.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a different role for him, but I just remember in 2022 he had a marquee match at WrestleMania with Pat McAfee. He got to interact with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. Then he wins the Money in the Bank, and you kind of like feel that this kid's on his way. This kid's gonna be like the next like main star. And then just from that time, he tried to cash in the Money in the Bank on the U.S. title and did not win. From that moment on, he was just never taken as seriously, and you couldn't even take him as seriously as a fan. And I would say like now this is probably the best opportunity he's had since then. And it does have potential to work. I think it could work, but at the end of the day, it's all up to him at this point. Like, he has the chance, he has the ball. You can't say Triple H isn't going to try this time. And if it doesn't work, that's pretty much all on him. But I will say the one thing I will admit, this newer version of the Vision is a lot better than the version of the Vision was when Seth Rollins was the leader. It kind of feels like a new, fresh group. Heyman seems like he fits better in with all of them. And I think it definitely has a lot of potential to be like the dominant group heading into 2026.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Seth thing just never felt like it clicked. There wasn't it felt like they were on two separate paths. They happened to be sharing a ring, but it's almost like they didn't coordinate. Like backstage, they just planned in different locker rooms and then came to the ring, and Seth did his thing, and then Paul Heyman and his group did their thing, and they weren't really working together. There wasn't a give and take, and so this should be better. Just final point, not to belabor this. Do you think Austin Theory underdelivered in any of the mediocre opportunities he was given, or do you think so far the company and the booking and frankly his, as they say, dance partners, and you could say John Cena, for instance, just let him down, that he actually has been undercut, sabotaged, and booked poorly, and this is the first chance that he's going to get in a main event spot? And I don't mean to take away culpability, because sometimes John Cena might bury you because he thinks you're under-delivering. You're not ready. You don't show the right attitude. Levesque might not be as high on him as McMahon because of good reasons that he saw in his own way and McMahon was blind to. But I guess my question is there anything that you think Theory was given an opportunity to do, even if it wasn't a great opportunity, where he came up short? Because you keep focusing on other factors around Theory, but did he do anything where you lost faith in him rather than feeling the booking was letting him down?
I feel like if that match at WrestleMania with John Cena had delivered, if it had been like a really good match, kind of like the match that AJ Styles had with John Cena, Daniel Bryan, etc., if he had a match like that with Cena and won, you would have felt a lot differently about it. But that match went, maybe 10 minutes tops, and Theory won with a low blow. So just the way he won that, it didn't really do him any favors. Like, even though he beat John Cena at WrestleMania, it didn't say much. So if there's any opportunity, I would say like he didn't seize, would have maybe been that, but maybe that wasn't his fault because of like the way the match was timed. Yeah, but he has the chance now, and only time will tell to see if he actually delivers on it or if it's just not meant to be.
Yeah, no, I asked because I genuinely am kind of thinking through as you're bringing up these things, and I'm like, has he underdelivered, or has the booking and perhaps Cena, not sabotage, but just sort of have people not been invested in him, and now will they be? And that gets to what I'm saying. If he's in a group with Heyman, it's an investment. That's valuable TV time. Throw a couple of chat comments up here on this topic specifically. D Nice C Pamba, sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Theory clearly has potential in the top 20% of their current roster, in my opinion. Goodfellas says Theory's always been good on the mic. He just needs to get wins in the ring. Anthony puts it this way, Anthony B. Maybe it's his last chance in the fans' eyes. You know, we can talk here about, well, he needs to step up or booking needs to step up. But what really needs to happen is the fans need to be impressed by him, because you can get defined down and it's hard to overcome that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And he has the opportunity now to prove that he can be someone, that he could be a major player. And yeah, maybe him and Paul could challenge for the tag team titles. It feels like the tag team division is now on the right path again for the first time in a while. I'm sure we'll get into that a little later. And yeah, it's definitely something to watch out for the next few weeks, and looking forward to seeing how it pans out. And I could definitely see a possibility of Theory being the X factor in Breakker winning the championship on January 5th.
Yep. Couple other chat comments here. A lot of thoughts on him. Mark Biscotti says Theory got pushed. Cena put him over at WrestleMania, and he has not shown much growth since. I don't know if Cena put him over, by the way. I mean, really. But Sean Plichta says it's been a mixture of bad booking and him not being super serious. I agree with that. Goodfellas says Theory's always been good on the mic. He just needs to get wins in the ring. Yeah, I mean, at some point you got to, storyline wise, be treated seriously for fans to take you seriously. Does mean it'll work, but you have no chance if the booking is not even trying to present you seriously. And a 10-minute match where Cena is 100% in control of everything that happens isn't really a chance for Theory to have the agency to step up and do what Kyle Fletcher's been doing. You know, you're just sort of at the mercy of Cena. Derek Mitchell goes, Theory isn't Alex Riley, and I think he'll be fine with a proper focus and creative. Cavanti Smalls, Kurt says, LA Knight's been given far worse opportunities in booking than Theory, and he still got over. Yeah, I mean, what do you think of that statement?
I think probably LA Knight has probably been around a lot longer. He's more experienced, and he, I guess, knows how to work his way out of bad situations or make the most out of the situations that he has. And yeah, LA Knight just has like an it factor that makes people gravitate towards him. And I know he's on his Christmas vacation right now, but hopefully when he comes back in 2026, if some of those speculations are true, he does get like a real legit chance, and maybe he'll be the Royal Rumble winner. If Jey Uso could win it last year, then yeah, LA Knight could win it in 2026.
What, you heard it here first? Kurt's official prediction. We'll put that in ink. Eric Moy, 3944, says they need to build Theory if they want this to hold any weight. He can't be the fall guy for the division. Give him some legit wins now. Derek Mitchell goes, I agree with Wade. Why is this Theory's last chance? This is his first chance to flourish. He is still a young guy, and all the greats had to go through different versions and gimmicks. There's something to that. I mean, I don't know if all of them did, but a lot of them did. Jane Hartford goes, I don't think Theory has failed. I think he's been great at every opportunity. He just needs better booking consistently. When talking about this being a better version of the division, Kurt, I was thinking about this too. Adam Kidd goes, it's a lot like when the Judgment Day got rid of Edge. And Real Legend says the same thing, like when Edge got ousted from Judgment Day, LOL. Jane Hartford says there's no hierarchy in the division. Any one of them could be painted as a future world champion. It just happens to be Breakker at the moment, hoping for a secondary or take title win for the group soon. And Anthony B says, yeah, he needs to change a lot. New ring gear, new theme song, new finisher. Yeah, so that's some good takes from the chat. We appreciate it. I'll throw this in. Derek Mitchell, little nostalgia comment here. Logan and Theory as a team remind me of Gino Hernandez and Tully Blanchard, or Gino Hernandez and Chris Adams, or Art Barr and Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, wow.
Interesting comparisons there. Yep. Very good. And then Derek says, Theory feels like a top 10 NBA draft lottery pick who hasn't lived up to the hype. Let's hope this association with the vision works. And I'll do one more here. Austin Theory, this Mark Pescetti. Austin Theory wasn't on a journey. Him being inserted feels very Vince. I want to make him my next star. It has that vibe. So we will see. Okay, let's turn the page on Theory, Kurt, and I want to bring up Gunther and Cena, and then we're going to go to David Miller, who's on hold, who wants to join the conversation. We'll get his take on what he wants to bring up. So I if people have been reading and listening to me, I've been advocating for Cena losing to Gunther. I thought it was the right thing to do. My yellow flag that I was waving is the fans of DC are going to be disappointed. And so that's why I advocated months ago in the Wade Keller news bulletins for VIP members. And I've repeated it many times on the show. Dom would have been a good opponent in DC because he could have lost. Fans would have felt good, but Dom would have still gotten a rub. They decided to do that earlier. They've got their reasons. We saw tonight what that was. They want to put Gunther over as a legend killer who retires legends. Goldberg, Cena, up next AJ Styles. Who knows who's after that? They have a vision for this. They have a plan. And I think this, one of my top takeaways, and I talked about this for VIP members on the Wade Keller hotline. I did a long review, a solo review of Saturday Night's Main Event just for VIP members Saturday night. And one of my top takeaways was the irony, but the appropriateness of Cena's career ending. The guy who was a first top guy, Kurt, who stood in the ring and said, "I hope we entertained you." In other words, he put the power in the fans. The fans now are dictating whether the stars have entertained them. I thought it was one of the most revealing and backward statements made by any top guy ever, which is, I hope. It seems like crazy. Of course, you hope any wrestler hopes they entertained them. Yes, but you don't say it. You should give the fans the feeling that they're privileged to watch them. But it was symptomatic of a mindset that John Cena had that puts him, in my mind, in the bottom third of top tier guys of the last 40 years. And I talk about that all the time. So what this is the fans use that against Cena. And Vince, Vince was behind that at the time, and now Paul Levesque. We weren't entertained by that finish. The fans said, we want you to book the way we want you to book to make us happy. That's your job. It's to make us happy and entertain us. And you didn't give us the finish we wanted. We wanted a happy ending. We wanted Cena to win. And then they went meta on him. And they booed Paul Levesque and chanted BS like it was a bad referee call or the coach made a bad decision on a running play when it should have been a passing play. They became the armchair quarterbacks that WWE has turned them into by going all meta on them, going back 15 years to John Cena going, "I hope we entertained you." And so Cena taps out, does the right thing, goes out on a shield. I've used that phrase for months about Cena's last match. He should, if it was against Gunther, he should go out on a shield, put Gunther over. And I said, if he did, I'd feel better about Cena's run, that he put somebody over at the end. It wasn't all about some ephemeral feel-good moment. But I always had the caveat, the fans aren't going to like it, but I still was in favor of it. And I'm not on board with this rebellion. I know there's people in WWE who felt differently about it. Paul Levesque's out there defending it, but it was John Cena's decision. Make no mistake about it. John can go out there in any interview, all these interviews, and say, "I just do what I'm told." But that's not the reality. It just isn't. John Cena has agency in what he does, and John steers things and can veto things and can suggest things. He's painting himself, maybe, I don't even know if it was strategically, as just a pawn in the Paul Levesque booking game. But that's just naive. John Cena has power. People walk on eggshells around him. He is absolutely a big star, and they want to do right by him, and they don't want to disrespect his opinion. And I will be shocked if John Cena with a straight face ever says that he was against this, or that he even wasn't enthusiastically in favor of it. I think it's a story he wanted to tell. And I think we saw tonight with Gunther. He gloated and rubbed it in, and it's exactly what a heel should do. I was disappointed, Kurt, that the announcers acted like Gunther did something wrong by beating Cena. They should have focused only on Gunther doing something wrong by disrespecting him afterwards by rubbing it in and doing an unsportsmanlike victory dance. So those are some of my takes. I haven't had them anywhere but on the VIP side of things until now. Kurt, I said a lot there. I want to hear what you thought and what you think.
Well, I personally liked the match. I thought the match really delivered. It definitely had like a big match, like big event feel. Like I was definitely on the edge of my seat for it from start to finish. I didn't really have a problem with Cena losing. I wanted to believe that he would win his last match because it was going to be in DC. It's his last match. It'd be like a feel-good ending and all that good stuff. But I figured deep down if Gunther wins, it's not the end of the world. Gunther's going to be sticking around. Cena's retiring. It makes sense. But maybe the way they did it with Cena, like tapping out as he's smiling, maybe that could have been done differently. I can understand being upset about that. I can understand being upset about Triple H for some of his decisions he's made throughout this year. But I just didn't like the fact that when Triple H came out, it became all about being mad at Triple H as opposed to, celebrating Cena's career and being happy that Cena's going into this next phase of his life. So, yeah, that was kind of a turnoff for me. And honestly, I was kind of expecting Triple H to come out first tonight to get the boos before Gunther did, but that didn't happen. And look, it was Cena's last match. I'm sure he probably did have a say in how it would go in the end because he is John Cena at the end of the day, no matter what he says in interviews. But yeah, it was a little bittersweet with the way they ended it. But I do understand it in the sense that it is business and that Gunther's sticking around. They want to do something big with Gunther in the coming months. So what bigger thing can you do for him than have him be the man who retired John Cena in his last match? So yeah, Gunther is definitely on a trajectory in these next few months, especially from what I saw tonight with the reaction he got, the way he played it off, and the way he rubbed it in. Yeah, this dude is definitely the top, if not one of the top dudes as far as being heels in this entire company. He has like heel smugness, unlikableness written all over him. And now after what he did on Saturday, it's going to be even times 10 with all of that. And yeah, people are always going to feel a way about these outcomes. Even if Cena had lost in a different way, people probably would have still complained regardless. But at the end of the day, I get it. I understand it. And from what we saw tonight, I feel a little bit better about it than I did 2 days ago. And overall, I will say John Cena's retirement run from January up until now, it was a very mixed bag. There were good moments. There were bad moments. But WWE, in a sense, does deserve to be called out for some of the, missteps they took with that, among others. But it just was too bad that it had to be taken on like that stage and at that time, because it should have been more about John Cena than, that personal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my top issue with Cena still, and I addressed this in the Keller Hotline for VIP members Saturday night. But by the way, mentioning this is the last time I'm going to mention it going into the holidays here. We've had a sale. We've held it over because people keep signing up. I know people are checking in because the Cena thing might have been checked out for a few weeks or months or whatever. We got a sale, $9 off, coupon code NOV 2025. We launched this in November. That's why it's NOV. But this is final week. So if you're interested in a VIP membership, you can bring $12.99 for a month down to just $3.99. Or apply $9 discount to any sub, 3-month or 12-month sub, to take $9 off that total. Also, just enter coupon code NOV2025 when you check out. The place to go is pwtorch.com/govip. pwtorch.com/govip. Almost 4 decades of back issues of the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter, over 20 years of podcasts on demand, all the pay-per-view roundtables after pay-per-views, hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s, a real education on pro wrestling. If you're interested in how this business has evolved and kind of understanding a lot of what's going on happened in different ways in different scenes in the past with different players, it's never ceases to be a fascinating business, and its history is one of those reasons. So don't sign up just for the history. Well, you can, but we also have new VIP content on a daily basis, including commercial-free versions of our free shows. So pwtorch.com/govip, coupon code NOV, as in November, NOV 2025. And one thing I noted, Kurt, on the post show is that now I lost my train of thought because I had it and then literally just a second ago and it just left. I was talking about the match, the full circle. Oh shoot, it'll come back to me. What was I talking about right before I mentioned the plug? Cena's character tapping out. It's something that I've been writing about prior also. It'll come back to me. It's a super important point, so everybody stay tuned because it'll come back to me. While we're at it, let's talk about the tap out, because that is another topic here. Is he smiled before he tapped out. And I didn't have a problem with it, but I do understand, and I'm in a way I'm surprised I don't. But that was, I don't like to overuse the term because I think it's used a lot right now, but it was cinema. It was Cena exhaling and going, I gave it my all, and even said it. Sorry, I have nothing left. He said it afterwards. It was Cena's way of, I think the intent was to let fans know, I'm at peace. I'm at peace with this being the ending. I gave it my all. I don't have anything left. And this shows, and I think the symbolism was, I don't have anything left. I retired at the right time. I got beat by a better man, fair and square, and I'm okay with it. And I think that his intent was to let fans know, if I'm okay with it, you can be too. Now, the downside is, John isn't good at portraying super serious sports-like vibes to what he does. His, STFU is awful. His tone on his promos, feels cartoonish with his facial expressions, and he never really honed that in. Every once in a while, he gets real serious, and he's awesome, like against The Rock and against Punk on the microphone. But so much of the time, he just hasn't. It just sort of feels like it's a performance. So, but in this, so I get people being upset by it and thinking, no, just pass out and sell it, because did play into the notion, Kurt. He gave up. Like, he had enough to smile. Well, that is him resigning himself to going, yeah, I don't have any more fight left in me, and I'm okay with it. So I'm okay with it. I kind of get why they did it and like it, but I understand it being a contentious decision. Kurt, give me your thoughts on that aspect, because I know you mentioned it in your last answer.
Yeah, I could see why you look at it that way, with him saying that this is the end. I don't need to hold on anymore. I did everything I could. It's over now, and I'm cool with that. I get that. But I also get being upset about it and being a little let down that the match ended that way. And, Cena didn't win on top of that. Yeah, it's just a very polarizing finish, a polarizing ending that we're going to be talking about for years to come. Very similar to the Undertaker streak ending in 2014. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe to it. And yeah, it's it's really hard for me to come to terms with what happened. I kind of really wrestled with my feelings about it over the last 2 days. I really did enjoy the match. Yeah. And I did that final walk he took afterwards when he's high-fiving the fans and he does the salute right before he walks. I did get a little choked up a little bit. I thought there might have been a Hall of Fame announcement, after the match, but that didn't happen. And yeah, I'm just happy that he at least got to somewhat go out on his own terms and get the big celebration that he did. I saw nothing but John Cena videos and John Cena tributes all over my social media the whole week. So you definitely knew it really felt like a big PLE to a degree. And yeah, he's definitely somebody who I'll never forget as my time of being a fan. I was first drawn back into watching wrestling after taking a hiatus during his feud with The Rock. And I was fortunate enough to be at that WrestleMania when they faced each other the first time. It was definitely a great experience and one I'll never forget. And I'm sad to say John Cena was definitely somebody I took for granted. As much as he was forced down our throats a lot, and as much as we didn't like, the presentation of him for a lot of the years, he was the top guy. At the end of the day, for the loyalty he had, the great matches he put on, especially in the latter part of his career, and just being less shady and less about himself compared to most other people in his position were over the years. Someone has passed away recently. It's definitely somebody who I appreciate a lot more as a fan, and somebody who, I wish I appreciated a lot more when he was around. But I'm just happy that I got to watch his last match. I'm happy that I got to enjoy it as much as I did. And I'm happy that I get to watch whatever Gunther does next with it going forward, because especially judging from tonight, it's going to be a very interesting 2026 for this man. He's definitely going to be somebody in that mix with or without a championship.
After seeing the texts that Vince McMahon sent to that woman who was vulnerable and he brought out of destitute and paid and then mocked her and made her, by all accounts, based on actual texts that have not been disputed as factual, a victim of manipulation and feeling trapped, I will feel better about John Cena when he doesn't defend Vince McMahon or fails to say that's, I have a lot of great memories with Vince, but I'm disturbed by things that I'm still processing it. I don't think anything about John Cena takes precedence over the fact that he hasn't stepped up and taken into account not what's alleged or speculated upon, but what has been presented as actual texts, and not expressed more concern with what they point to in terms of what led to Vince McMahon being ousted from the company. And until he does that, and there's a lot of people I've talked to this, since John Cena has had the opportunity and not distance himself from Vince, but especially in recent days, who just can't get past that when it comes to him. And the feel good moment of, he entertained us for 15 years, so let's focus on that. I see this woman who was victimized terribly and horribly by a powerful man, and demeaned and offered to other men for laughs and pleasure. And it wasn't just, I'm not going to judge kinks, but this was a power dynamic that was not appropriate. And whatever Cena wants to say about what he stands for, it all sounds like platitudes for marketing until he says, I'm deeply disturbed and disappointed with what seems to have been the case with Vince McMahon. And he hasn't done that. And until he does, that is the first and last thing I'm going to think of when I think about his character.
Mm.
There we are.
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
All right. So, but back on, but I will evaluate. I'm able to evaluate his story. I'm able to evaluate his career and take it in that context. But when we start talking about him on a personal level and celebrating him and being nostalgic for him, I just think we got to get we have to address that, or it's really unfair to that woman and women everywhere who have been in a position of victims of a power dynamic, and it's out there. I mean, just if this is news to you, go Google it, look it up. Anybody out there, and then decide if you think that John Cena's professional friendship with Vince McMahon over the years should be the thing that John Cena uses as a defense to not express at least serious concern, if not condemnation, of what has been factually presented in those texts as actual texts. No one's disputed they're real that I know of. Until he does that, he comes across like a guy who doesn't want to get a text from Vince going, "Why'd you throw me under the bus like that?" And at some point, you got to decide what you stand for. And hustle, loyalty, respect's the slogan. What Vince McMahon did is real life, and John Cena continues to skirt the issue at best and stand by Vince McMahon at worst. The smile when he's stepping out, a lot of people in the chat have comments on that. And I like it. I mean, I think this is a really interesting debate. And then we are going to get the callers, but I want to get the chat comments in here too. Let's see. We'll start with this. D9C Pamba says, "Can somebody tell me how smiling and tapping out benefit anybody besides John Cena? A normal tap out puts over Gunther. A pinfall puts over Gunther. A smirk and a light tap out puts over Cena." So I believe what I said addressed that, Kurt, which is I think it was Cena saying, exhaling and going, I got nothing. I got nothing left. I fought out of this. I fought out of this. I don't have enough left to fight out of it. I get the issue that passing out and not smiling is a more convincing way of showing that you don't have anything left. But, other people in the chat defend it. Real Legend goes, it was Cena finally letting go. Goodfella said, Cena saying goodbye. I liked the smile. Sean Plichta, though, says he could have smiled afterwards. It just felt weird in the moment. I don't mind it in the moment. I think the moment was the time to do it if he was going to do it. But Sean says he does it very badly. Derek Mitchell goes, Cena smiling felt like he was at peace, and that's okay. And that's what I said. I think it was Cena letting his fans know it's okay. It's something you see in movies all the time. I think people are being overly sensitive. This doesn't diminish his career in any way whatsoever. I also don't think it diminishes Gunther. In answer to D. Nicey Pamba, I think it put over Gunther. It was Cena going, I can't fight out of this anymore. Gunther has my number. I am exhausted, and I am done. But JC Scooby says would have been better if Cena just passed out after the third arm raised went down. In terms of just finish generically, I want to sneak this in. Derek Mitchell goes, Steve Austin lost his last official match against The Rock at Mania 19. Ric Flair lost to HBK at WrestleMania 24. Shawn Michaels lost to Taker at WrestleMania 26. Angle lost to Baron Corbin. Goldberg to Gunther. Cena losing just strengthens Gunther. So this is more of a tradition than an exception. Kurt, what do you think of the historical comparisons?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, usually most people who have their last match usually end up losing more than often than not. And yeah, I didn't have a problem with Cena losing. Just the way he lost was controversial and kind of confusing in a sense. And yeah, it's kind of like something you're kind of wrestling with, kind of you're maybe confused by. But overall, as far as him losing his last match, I kind of thought he was initially up until like maybe a week ago. I started to change my mind. But considering that he lost, like I said, I don't have an issue with it. It happens all the time. And I know it's sad. It would have been nice if Cena won and we got that big celebration at the end, but it just wasn't meant to be. And Gunther retired John Cena. He's going to definitely be one of the hottest heels in the company. And yeah, judging by this crowd reaction, it's only going to get worse from this point on.
The moment I compared it to, and Real Legend brings it up, is it's basically Cena's version of I'm sorry, I love you. What do you think, Kurt?
I don't think people are going to accept it as much. It's more of a polarizing one than the I'm sorry, I love you moment from Sean. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Maybe a year or so from now, people will feel differently and maybe will feel differently about it. But until then, it's still kind of something I haven't really fully accepted yet.
Comment here earlier about Paul Levesque and getting booed. Adam Kidd said, thank God Triple H stayed in the back tonight. Gunther needed that heat. I just want to say, I don't think it makes any sense for Paul Levesque to put himself on camera for a while. They do not want Paul Levesque to be the story. They don't want the meta booking to be the story. That was not the intent here. Maybe you could say they should have seen it coming. But this is John Cena saying, I hope we entertained you. And the fans going, the booking didn't entertain us. We wanted ice cream and we didn't get it for dessert. And now we're mad. WWE has created the monster in fans thinking storytelling is written by them, and that they should always get, happy endings. I'm being more unfair than I intend to in terms of painting a broad brushstroke on everything, because I think fans should have opinions. I don't want to sound like Paul Levesque. Let me be clear that fans can't complain. I think you can complain all you want, and they have the right to do that. I just think that WWE is getting sort of what they've asked for because of their, WWE and Real series. Hey, look, pull the curtain back. I don't think Paul Levesque hasn't done a great job in he stands by his decisions, but he does so in a way that I think sparks fans to push back more and feel like, well, now it's our time to do the post-game call-in show where we complain about the coach's decisions. I think they've enabled that. They've made it seem like that's part of the process of being a WWE fan, playing into This Is Awesome chants and talking about star ratings. All this stuff plays into fans now becoming even mainstream fans. There's always going to be fans, at the hardcore ardent fans who are going to analyze it in a business sense, just like in the comic book world or, in the movie world. There's always people looking at the industry, the box office, personnel moves, all that. But most people just want to know, is a movie good and can I escape for 2 hours? And WWE presents a product that encourages even casual mainstream fans to think about it in a sense of, have I been entertained? Is this good? And do I agree with the booking? And Cena kind of had what he has coming, and so does Levesque. And I think it's a moment to take pause and decide, do we want to go on a 3-year project to steer fans, the casual mainstream fans, away from it? Now, you could argue nobody was casual or mainstream in that crowd because of the ticket prices. They brought in a lot of hardcore fans with those ticket prices wanting to see history. And I to me, the emotion on the fans was great. Like, if I'm Paul Levesque, I don't apologize. I don't say, oh, it was the right thing for business, but sort of in a meek way, like, oh, I'm sad that you're sad, but it was the right thing for business. Stick with us. I think they should embrace it if they talk about it at all and go, this sports is about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And that crowd reaction showed John Cena how much fans cared about him and how much they wanted him to win at the end. But he retired for a reason. In canon, in storyline, John Cena was running on fumes. He was at the end. That's why he's retiring. He said so. He said, I said when I can't go anymore, I'm going to retire. If he won, fans would be like, keep coming back. Why'd you retire? You beat Gunther. He's a world-class athlete in his prime. Longest running IC champ ever, world champion. There's many stories they could have told. Another variation of it was he didn't tap out. Gunther got frustrated and he pinned him. And then Cena would not have given up, but he would have gotten pinned. And then at least Gunther couldn't brag that he made him give up. They chose the story they told. There were variations of it. I'm not saying it was the only way or the best way. But I think the fan reaction, Kurt, is a sign of the times of social media and how open WWE Unreal and how, post-event Q&As where they just tear down the fourth wall. But if I'm Paul Levesque, I steer away from it. It's not something I want to play into. He doesn't become an on-air authority figure heel because of this. Just stay out of it. Let Gunther get the heat. And I think they handled it right tonight. And by the way, people have asked what I thought of the Gunther promo. Thought it was great. Thought it was to the point. He was smug. He kicked sand on. He stomped on Cena's. I mean, I thought Tessitore was good. A little heavy-handed as Tessitore often is, but I thought it was good. Gunther, in an over-top way, spiked the football, celebrated in a way that was disregarding of the fans' emotions, and that's what makes him a heel. And it's your job. As a fan, it's okay to be angry that a babyface lost and boo a heel. That's what being a wrestling fan is. You should see that as part of the journey that you sign up for when you watch. It's not about babyfaces always winning, and it's not even about a retiring babyface winning, as history shows. Could be more the exception than the rule. Kurt.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get the finishes you want. Sometimes you don't get the outcomes you ask for. One of the main ones I remember in recent memory was when Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania 39. That one really hit me hard. I was really upset to the point where I was like punching everything I could get my hands on and whatnot. But as much as it sucked the night it happened, 1 year later when Cody won the title, it made it all worth it. So sometimes in hindsight, it may not. Yeah, sometimes like initially the night of finish happens or the night the outcome of a match happens, you might not be happy with it. You might think it sucks. But then as time goes on, as you see the stories go on and you see things play out, you start to say, okay, this made sense. Okay, they did this for a reason. And I'm starting to feel more like that as far as the Cena retirement and Gunther winning the way he did now. And I feel like it's definitely going to build up more as the months go on. I feel like if they put on a strong enough show on that January 5th Raw, I feel like feel like people's like worries and people's concerns will be calmed down, as it'll be a reset. It'll be more of like a message that, hey, we're going in a different direction. Things will hopefully be better now, and yeah, we can go from there. But one thing I will say, Triple H better stay the hell away from these damn promotional ads, these openings, coming out to the show saying, welcome to this show, welcome to that show. Yeah, after what happened on Saturday, yeah, he needs to lay low for a while as far as that goes, because yeah, the crowds are not going to be feeling him at all. And in many ways, they have the right to.
Yep, absolutely. Adam Kidd said I had zero issues with how the Cena match went. Oh, and Will D, this one I want to throw up, just says, Cena should have passed out then, don't tap. That was another option. He thought the smile was worse than kicking out afterwards. Derek Mitchell says Cena smiling showed he wasn't scared to end his career or die metaphorically in the ring. So anyway, all right, let's bring David Miller in a conversation, and then Andy in Houston is on deck, and Sean wants to rejoin us for some topics too. We'll cover more than the A and B topic here. Obviously, Austin Theory reveal and the Cena retirement Gunther follow-up are the top two stories. We'll get into other stuff too as we progress here. But David, a PWTorch contributor, covers NXT TV and more. He actually wrote the preview to center in his main event on PWTorch.com this weekend. David, good to see you there. I'm enjoying the Christmas lights in the background. Very festive.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Wade. Thank you. Good to see you, Kurt. I'm just going to touch on Saturday night's main event because I want to get back to Raw. But I did write in my preview that I was anticipating Cena taking the Goldberg route, passing out to the sleeper. But I took the tap out exactly as you did, Wade. I did not see Cena. I did not see that as Cena giving up. He wasn't tapping out frantically, or he wasn't, but he also wasn't, looking at his imaginary watch and just not selling the move at all. To me, it was him tapping out of his career and saying it's time to go. Okay, the run's over. It was nice. It's time to go. But back to Raw, Gunther had Dominic Mysterio heat tonight. That was wonderful. The minute that first note of his music hit, the boos were coming in from all directions, and he handled it exactly the way he should have. He started to leave, then he came back, and then he stood on the announce desk. And then as Joe Tessitore so outrageously, he called Cena. He said he tapped out like a little bee, and then Adam Pearce called him an a-hole, but that was great. What he said was exactly what he should have said. He took Cena's legacy and wiped his backside with it, which is exactly what he should have done. And if they can run with this, they have a monster heel on their hands right now, and they as long as they play their cards right, Gunther can really pull this off. Wonderful. He didn't ramble on. He said what needed to be said. He was rude, crude, and he really antagonized the fans. So I thought that was wonderful. A lot of good promos tonight. CM Punk cut a great promo in the ring too. That was fantastic.
I thought it was possibly. Well, I'll just say it felt like top 3 or 4 promos for me since he returned. I don't even know it's going to be the most memorable. I just think it was the most believable and effective at telling the story in the moment. It wasn't trying to be bigger than the moment, but it rose to the occasion, and it felt like this is somebody who was mad that his wife was brought up and that he was knocked out of action for a couple of weeks. And I believed him. He felt like he was an alpha with a determined message, and you want the 2011 version of CM Punk? You can't even handle the 2025 version of CM Punk without your friends. I mean, great comebacks. I don't like. To me, a babyface shouldn't make fun of a heel for being cross-eyed. Like, I'm not trying to be like overly PC. I just think there's probably some kid at home who loves CM Punk who has, who's a little cross-eyed. He's like, oh God, CM Punk thinks that makes me a bad person or whatever. Babyface should stay away from ever picking on traits in a heel that isn't in the heel's control. Pick on a funny haircut. Pick on them for anything that they have control over. But don't pick on. I don't even think of Braun Breaker's cross-eyed, but I can kind of see where he's coming from making fun of that. So in other words, I'm not saying it was perfect, but man, I thought that was CM Punk showing why he is the legend he is. And I think a couple of weeks off, actually, probably helped him just sort of recharge a little bit too. What do you think, Kurt?
I thought it was great. I personally wasn't expecting to see him back until maybe the Raw before January 5th because it's the holidays. Also, his dog just died, so I figured him and AJ were going to take an extended break. But then when I saw him on Saturday for the Cena retirement, I'm like, okay, I guess he's going to come back sooner. And then he came back tonight with that great-ass promo, and I'm just so happy that he did come back because that really was one of the highlights of the show. The main thing that's been selling this match for Cena and Braun Breaker coming up are the promos. From the promos from Breaker 2 weeks ago to the Punk promo tonight. I am very invested in this title match like I have not been for anyone in very recent memory. And yeah, Punk was definitely on his A game tonight with the lines he was saying about Braun Breaker's uncle and his dad saying, bring your dumb dad and your dumber uncle with you. And then he says, if I had a dime for every time I got into the ring with somebody who's never lived up to their potential, I have a bunch of dimes in my pocket. And speaking of dimes, if you ever talk about my wife again, it's going to be a damn problem. Yeah, Punk, definitely top 5 on the mic as far as I'm concerned. As far as like my favorites on the mic, he's definitely on that list. And tonight he proved why. And I cannot wait for that match in a few weeks from the 5 he came out with.
Yep. Very good. David, back to you, I guess.
Yeah, that was great. He mentioned the Steiner math, and I got a kick out of that always. That never gets old. So touching on a couple of other points in the show without getting very deep into them. I love Stephanie Vaquer. I think she is super over, but the minute you inject Nikki Bella into the situation, my interest level just goes
down.
Nothing else needs to be said about Nikki Bella, in my opinion.
Well, okay. I don't know why, but I don't think Nikki's as bad. I'm going to say I don't know why. I feel weird saying this. I just don't think Nikki was that bad all along and tonight. I don't think she's great, but like, and I get being sort of like eye roll and just like get over yourself because she talks about, I paved the way. And it's like that era was not great. So I get resenting sort of the message if you believe she takes it seriously. I get that. But I think as a heel, she's been unlikable and effective in fans wanting to see her get beat up. Respect the vet. I mean, whether she says it with irony or self-awareness or not doesn't matter to me. We can talk about that and make fun of it if we think, she actually thinks she was a vet who paved the way. But like as a heel character, it's working. I thought she's not great in the ring, but she's not Brie Bella. She's better than Brie. Brie, Nikki was the better of the two, and I think it shows. I don't know.
Which one was it that knocked out Liv Morgan? Was that Nikki or was that Brie? I can't remember.
That was Brie. That was Brie with the kicks.
Well, that's what I thought it was. Yeah,
when they were in the Riot Squad.
There was a difference between those two, and I'm not trying to like just. Bree's like, hey, I'm not. Why are you picking on me? I've been retired for years. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just saying, like, let's remember, Nikki was actually pretty good. Let's not use Bree's work against her. And I guess I think she's been all right. I think it's, and this isn't to diminish, David, you having a different opinion than me. I don't mean to frame it that way, but I think some people just think it's fashionable to make fun of Nikki, and I get it. But if you take away all the baggage and all the preconceptions and you just look at her performance, I don't think we should headline WrestleMania with her, but I don't think it's been that bad. I point out teach their own, I guess. But yeah, I just have,
what would help, Wade? What would really help, in my opinion, is get her some new entrance music for one thing, because that entrance music is such a reminder of that horrid diva era.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
No, I know. And you're right, Kurt. I know they won't do it, but yeah. She, definitely she plays the part of a good heel. I think part of it's just, her being in the Hall of Fame. And I think that there's so many other women out there who are much more deserving of that accolade than Nikki and Brie Bella. But, to each their own. Maybe she'll, maybe they can make it. I just think that she's way, way below Stephanie Vaquer's pay grade, even though, Stephanie obviously has less experience, but, she's just so much better in the ring.
Fan Blast says Nikki is just so sad. It's not just that it's not working. It's embarrassing. It was tired years ago. That's a case against her. If you see it that way, I think there's a lot of matches that crowds aren't reacting to, and a lot of it is the booking. It's fans aren't invested because Paul Levesque has convinced them through his booking that match outcomes often don't happen because we have more important things to do than to give you an outcome to a match that we hyped and booked and promoted. And you also have situations where there's ambiguity that leads to ambivalence. That's my catchphrase for Triple H's booking. It used to be an absence of irritants when he first started, and now it's ambiguity leads to ambivalence. There's too many baby faces fighting each other, and the fans don't care. People like Raquel, who seem nice now and kind of fun, kind of cool, and so now we don't know, should we boo her against Vicaire and Vicaire?
Never boo her.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just Paul Levesque wants to make sure that he doesn't adhere to this old tired babyface heel thing, and we need fresh matchups, and we produce so much TV. We can't have just heels and faces against each other all the time, but you pay a price. And you got to live with it. I don't think you have to embrace it, but you got to live with it. And I'm going to call it out, which is fans sitting on their hands going, now I'm just watching two away. If you're a big Giants fan and then the Eagles play Dallas, I mean, okay, what do you want me to do? I'm not cheering for Dallas. I'm not cheering for the Eagles. I mean, he just books that way a lot, if you don't, so if you don't care about the NHL and you just go to a game, you might enjoy talented players and exciting goals, but you're not going to really cheer. Pro wrestling gets to book it gets to avoid all of that if they want to, and Paul Levesque books right into the middle of that ambivalence, and so that I say that as a context to some of what's going on with Nikki. Nikki's trying to be a heel though, and she should be getting booed if she was really over, and I'm not disputing that. I just don't think she's been that bad, but I can't point to a match where she got great heat and go, see, you guys are all wrong. The fans are into her. And that's certainly the weakest part of my argument.
Well, one thing I will say that I guess the biggest reason why people are uninterested with Nikki right now is because she already lost to Stephanie at Survivor Series. So it's like you already lost. So why are you getting another rematch? And why are you still in the title picture? And the promo she cut tonight backstage, I thought it was fine personally. But the problem is she should have cut that promo a month ago after she turned on Stephanie initially. Yeah, they waited too long to do that to kind of, build that heat on her. So that's why going into Survivor Series didn't feel as special as it should. And now it's a little better, but it's kind of like, Nikki already lost. I don't really want to see her in the title picture anymore. It's time to move on to other people. And with the Raquel match, I was kind of interested to see what the outcome is going to be. And then when Nikki came out and interfered, that kind of put a damper on things, I will admit. But I will agree with you, Wade. Nikki's not that bad. She's not my favorite. I don't have that really level of interest in her that I do a lot of the other girls, but she's fine. There's nothing really wrong with what she does. She just, she's,
and it's not. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
I don't think she's great. I don't even think she's very good. I just don't think she's been awful. Now I can imagine a wrestler right now listens and is going to text me and go, he's going to point to a couple spots and go, she's awful. I get that.
She's no Jackie Gata. I mean, I'll admit to that. She's not Jackie Gata.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have been notified by a higher power. We have spent all the time we're allowed to on Nikki Bella.
Ouch.
We have to move on.
I'll gladly move on from
Yes.
No, I think, and I'm surprised to say that I was actually a little bit impressed by Maxine Dupree tonight. She showed some personality and some fire, and she stole the Kendall Gray thing of pulling the straps down and firing up, and I thought that was a much better version of Maxine. I think they were leaning towards that too.
David, who knew that we'd be going? I hope Austin Theory can pull off what Maxine Dupree did this week.
Austin Theory. I didn't even know that's who it was at first.
Yeah.
I did not recognize him at first. It wasn't just the expression. It's just, he looked like, like one of those mugshots you see on social media pages, from the local jail. It was like, who's this? What jail did this dude just escape from? And I
thought it was Gabe. I for a split second I thought it was Gabe Kidd. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but that was like the split seconds. But
no, I think, and I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself here, but I think that I tend to agree with you, Wade. I don't think he's really been given the ball to run with just yet. Now, because I'll harken back to like Ronnie Garvin winning the NWA title.
Randall.
When he had that run, they gave him the ball and he could not play. The fans just did not go for it.
And there was nothing wrong with him. He was like,
No.
the NBA analogy, he was a fans liked him, just not in that way. He was he was a third or fourth player off the bench on an NBA team, and suddenly he was getting starting minutes and jacking up shots. Like, no, that's not. We like you, but you're the guy who comes in because you're a 3-point specialist or a defensive specialist or whatever. We don't want to pay to see you in main events. And we're definitely going back in time. But
I don't think. Well, and showing my age, which I often do when I come on here.
Hey, wrestling is pretty fascinating, and you don't need to be.
I was 1 year old when that happened, I think. 1987, right?
And how did you feel? Yep. How did you feel then?
I wasn't watching at the time. I didn't start watching until 94.
Got it.
Yeah. But there was nothing wrong with Garvin. He just the fans weren't the fans weren't buying it. Same thing with Diesel when he won the WWF title. He wasn't fans weren't crazy with him. I didn't mind him as champion, but most of the fans just didn't get it. But I don't think Austin Theory's had that spot yet. Let's see what he does. He had, and I think part of it was the expression on his face. Like you said, he's been portraying this goofy, he's been this goofball with Grayson Waller for so long, which I thought that worked. I loved the two of them together. I thought they were funny. But let's see what he does with this, and time will tell on that. But overall, I thought it was a really good show. Yeah,
cool. David, appreciate the call. We'll get to other callers here. I want to give Kurt a chance to talk about Maxine Dupree, because I think we shifted away from it before we heard you fully express yourself. Kurt, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think she definitely deserves the award for most improved wrestler of the year. Not even just female wrestler, but wrestler period. Between her and Raquel Rodriguez, they both definitely progressed and improved a lot throughout this year. And her match tonight, definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. This is like her first time wrestling since she won the title a month ago. But she killed it. Yeah, she was great. Those reversals she had, especially towards the end when she trapped the ankle lock in multiple times. Yeah, she really was on her A game tonight. And
she was no Nikki Bella.
Yeah, she was definitely.
I was a self-deprecating comment. I'm just pretending Nikki's the standard that of greatness that we compare anyone to. But
nah, she was definitely somebody I bought as like being a champion. I don't know how long her title reign is going to last and whatnot, but as far as tonight goes, she definitely impressed and definitely did what she set out to do, and there's no reason to hate on her for that.
Sounds good. So we got Andy in Houston. I promised we'd take him next, and then we got Effie waiting for us. He attended Saturday's main event on Saturday, and we'll get an in-person report from him momentarily. Cool. Andy, thanks for joining the show. What's your mind about Raw tonight?
And there's just so many places to jump to. I guess I did want to comment real quick on the Maxine, because I've been kind of holding this thought in my head for a couple of weeks now, but does it seem like she's becoming the Mikey Whipwreck of the women's division in terms of someone that you didn't take seriously at the beginning because they were unskilled or just a real novice, but then slowly they grow confidence, have matches, and become something that someone that you take seriously in the end. Of course, Mikey didn't get a title months after his foray. He had to work for I guess his standing on the ECW roster. So let's see. I have opinions about Nikki Bella, but I'll agree with you guys. We can move on from that. So I guess we can talk about Asuka and Kairi and the Kabuki Warriors, because sometimes it feels like that they do a great job with their heel personas, but they're such magnetic personalities that it feels like it's very difficult for the crowd to fully boo them when they're beating up all the other tag team women in the roster. So where do you think they stand as far as how they've been presenting themselves and uh, where they should be placed in the card as far as whether being tag team competitors or single competitors, that kind of thing.
Kurt, what do you think?
I think they should stay a team for now. I think the whole tag team thing with both of them being heels is really working for them. I was saying even like the last few Raw reviews I've been writing that other than Becky Lynch, Asuka's the best heel in the entire company. And it's kind of died down a little bit in recent weeks, but overall I still do think she's a great heel. And Kyrie's definitely held her end of it too. I love the attack they did tonight when Rhea and Io were coming out, and then Asuka all of a sudden's in the audience and she sprays the mist into Rhea's eyes, and then they attack Io, and then Kyrie got that really good insane elbow onto Io's back as after Io tried to, save Rhea from getting hurt. Yeah, I love them as a tag team. I think they've really been great together with what they've been doing in the last few months. I think that see them like end up splitting up at some point, maybe after they end up losing the titles, where there's some dissension there. But as far as right now goes, I think they should definitely stay a team because that women's tag division is really looking good right now, and it would be a mistake to break them up and split them up right now. So they should stay a team. They're really good at what they're doing right now. But I do have a funny feeling that they are losing those titles to Rhea and Io come January 5th.
I generically, I'm a fan of taking one or two top single stars and putting them in the tag division and having them care about the tag team titles, because I think it's fun to see established top stars team and what that dynamic is like. And I think having a mix of, and this applies to men's tag teams more because there tend to be a few more teams in the men's division than women's historically, even today with the deeper women's division compared to past eras. I think it keeps, when you have somebody who's a top star, whether it's Asuka or Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, not in the singles division, you aren't actively defining them down to mid-card. Like Becky Lynch kind of went off on a sojourn on the IC title realm. I don't think it hurt her. I think she's a strong enough performer, but there's a risk when you're at world title level and then suddenly you're not competing for the world title. You better have a very intense singles feud, or it looks like you've been downgraded. You've been benched. I've said that about Drew McIntyre for years. If he's not the world champion or fighting for the world title, it feels like something is wrong. There's just a presence about him that doesn't ever feel like he should be at intercontinental title level because he's just big and he's just a force of nature in so many ways in the ring. And I think it's hard to book that. And I don't even know that putting him in the tag division would make sense. It'd have to be really the right partner. But so you have to kind of look at the idea. They want to keep things fresh. They want to rotate talent. And a lot of things are in play when it comes to the timing of when wrestlers end being in the tag division and split up and go into singles. And sometimes they're just waiting out a current feud or a current program. And right now it's a cliche, the embarrassment of riches, but I think WWE has there's a lot of parity in the women's division, maybe more than there should be, in the sense that I would argue in favor of 2025 booking Rhea Ripley as a centerpiece star, not somebody you cool off in the tag division, but they have been treating the tag division as a big deal. And I think it's been entertaining. I think the dynamic with Io and Rhea is a little weird. I still don't quite know what they're going for. Kurt, what do you think they're going for with all the affection that they show each other and the way that they go about it and how the announcers kind of talk about it, but not as much as I think fans wonder about it?
I guess Rhea Ripley's just very friendly with some of her friends. I mean, we saw this with her and Dominic a couple years ago. And I guess now we're seeing something similar with her and Io. I guess it's just like more the female version of that whole dynamic. But I like them as a tag team. I like how they play off of each other. They have like a fun vibe together. Like they come off as like two people you'd want to hang out with. So yeah, I've really enjoyed like seeing them team up in recent months. But as much as I've enjoyed that, we definitely need to see a match between them at some point to settle the score of what happened at Evolution, how there was like no set winner. So yeah, we need to see that settled eventually at some point. But until then, I really enjoy their work as a tag team. Yeah, I hope they win the titles in a few weeks. And yeah, they build on this a little longer.
Cool. All right, Andy, anything else for us?
Yeah, just a little add on to all that. So you'll notice that when Kyrie did drop the elbow on top of Io, she looked very upset about it. So I think they're still trying to portray that she's conflicted about fighting against Io. So I'm assuming eventually that's where the break will be between Asuka and Kyrie. And the other thing, none of them seem like they're going to be in the title picture come WrestleMania in Vegas, if we're taking the commercial with the poker table is any indication. So do you guys see maybe Asuka going up against Io or Kyrie, or like have a three-way triple threat at WrestleMania?
I think you might be able to extract from this 2-on-2 feud a triple threat where it makes sense. Whose side is Kyrie on or something like that. But I would be more in favor of some one-on-one matches coming from this. And I think, they can all, obviously Kyrie would be in fourth place, but I think you can make a case for any of them being in a world title match next year, or a world title program. Kurt, how do you think they're coming across here in this tag division? Do you think that all of them can be positioned to be transitioned to compelling singles matches, either against each other or perhaps with the draft or just with other people on their brand, fresh matchups?
Well, out of the tag teams right now, the two matches I could potentially see happening at WrestleMania without there being a title at stake, I could see Asuka and Kyrie, where after Asuka and Kyrie lose the tag titles, Asuka blames Kyrie for it, and they go back to like Asuka like bullying her and picking on her like she was doing a few months ago. They could build something like that towards WrestleMania, kind of like a Virgil and Ted DiBiase dynamic. And also, especially after they kind of spiced it up a little bit tonight, I could see them doing Bayley and Lyra at WrestleMania, because I don't feel like this tag team between them is meant to last forever or long term. So I feel like they definitely need to break up between now and like the road to WrestleMania. So I could definitely see them doing a match with that. As far as the title picture goes, it's really hard to predict. I fade like SmackDown is going to be Jade and Bianca when Bianca gets back. But as far as Raw goes, in all honesty, I think it's anybody's game. It could be Stephanie against Liv. It could be Stephanie against Becky Lynch. Oh, no, never mind. I take that back. Becky Lynch will probably be wrapped up with AJ. So I could maybe see Rhea getting back into the title picture by then. It's very possible, or even Io. But yeah, I feel like it's anybody's game as far as the women's world title goes. But I do see a Asuka Kyrie match one-on-one at WrestleMania if they want to play out that story between them a little more.
Sean Plichta in the chat says Lyra feels very cold again. I actually think Lyra has benefited from this. I thought tonight she's gone from being protege to Bayley and just kind of hanging on every word. I can't believe I'm teaming with Bayley. I can't believe I'm sharing screen time with Bayley. And now she has kind of figured out how to manipulate Bayley a little bit and kind of needle her a little bit over, oh, you lose, and now you're just going to throw away your whole career. And then she kind of pushed her button and got Bayley fired up, and she was satisfied with that. I don't know. I'm seeing Lyra grow as a character, we're getting to know her, and I think she's growing into a position where she doesn't look like she's in over her head, but she's starting to believe she belongs here. Now, that has to translate to crowd responses, but part of that's on the booking. But I kind of like where, the stage we're at right now in the journey between Lyra and Bayley, and they might be going a direction that's different than they initially thought. Your quick thoughts on that, Kurt?
Yeah, I feel like Lyra didn't lose too much after the whole Becky feud wrapped up. I feel like she still maintained her status despite that. If anything, she's gotten better as a character with the stuff she's been doing with Bayley in recent months. And yeah, I definitely could see this being a WrestleMania match if they want to stretch it out that long. I feel like this definitely has enough legs and enough history where it could definitely make something good out of that. And yeah, I think she's definitely been one of the breakout stars of this entire year, despite losing the title 6 months ago and not being in the title picture since August, IC title that is. Yeah, I feel like Lyra's definitely been one of those main female acts on Raw, and I look forward to seeing what she does in 2026.
Andy, anything real quick before we go? I'm going to get to Effie, who's standing by with her Saturday night's main event in-person report.
Yes, Austin Theory needs to shave. He has a ridiculous look, and he can't do a beard well. So, bro needs to shave for the next week's Raw.
And
that
we've
is all.
Heard from a few people. Cool, Andy. Thanks. Good to hear from you. Appreciate you calling.
Good thing.
All right. Take care. All right. Let's bring Effie in. Effie, thanks so much for your patience.
No problem, guys.
Yeah. So you got to attend Saturday night's main event on Saturday. Obviously you'll never forget that night.
Yeah.
I'll throw to you for some thoughts on what the experience is like to be in the building for that historically significant, heavily hyped event that has been generating buzz ever since.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a question for you, Wade. Do you want the entire weekend kind of breakdown, or just the event itself?
Well, let's focus on the event first, and then if we have time, we'll talk about kind of the peripheral things that you're referencing. But start with being in the building and how being in the building you think compared to what people experienced at home on TV.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty epic. I would say they did a good job of Cena's his like target was to get people on to the NXT stars. Because even myself, being someone who's pretty up to date, I've never seen Uba Femi. I've always heard of him, never seen him.
Yep.
But the crowd seemed to everyone knew who he was. So I'm not sure if it came across that way on the TV, but there was a huge pop for him. Obviously, a huge pop for Cody. He definitely had the presence. He got me engaged for sure. I think the crowd was content with Drew coming in.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't upset. I would say that at all.
Was that the first match, or were there dark matches? I haven't even chased down what.
It was the first event.
Okay, I know there's some people wondering if they would add more matches because they were so sparse. I mean, it's just there's not that many matches.
That was my complaint about it, but we'll get to that. At the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the crowd was definitely impressed with that. They were cause I think everyone thought Femi was gonna win, but yeah, I think that was a great first match. To get people engaged. The second match, I will say.
Let me pause you, Effie. I'm sorry, but I want to say, as far as Drew's interference goes, if I say this all the time, so I'll be you can justify every single one of the matches that Paul Levesque does at the end of Raw, at the end of SmackDown, like, oh, we're going to do a run-in, a DQ, and no contest or whatever, because, we don't want to do a finish, and we don't want someone to do a job here. It's the quantity of it. It's not the individual's justification. It's a totality of it. Drew interfering in that match is an example of if they had done all clean finishes all year, that's a perfect situation when you do it, because you have a guy who's been suspended. He's a madman. He's uncontrollable. He's out to get Cody. You are doing a novelty match. This is equivalent's a strong word. It's similar to the 60-minute draws back in the day where the AWA and NWA champion or NWA or WWF champ would face off to try to draw a gate in the region. Neither champ could afford to do a job because word would get back to their home territory. Our champion lost the other champion. So they do draws or no contest or whatever, double countouts. They do screwy finishes. That's kind of what this was. They're not going to do a 60-minute draw, but you have a storyline reason for a madman to interfere. It doesn't come across as a cop-out finish. It comes across as a madman we can't control in Drew, who doesn't care, is plowing through everything. You have the announcers express disgust and dismay that we didn't get to see an outcome, and you move on. This was champ versus champ, a novelty match that was produced only because the storyline was John Cena wanted to give back, so we're giving you novel matches. The problem is they do it so much, but, in this case, I think the fans would sit there and go, okay, it's not the main event. There was almost no build for it. I don't have a personal stake in who wins. I like both guys. And I'm not here for this. I mean, nothing was at stake in a tradition. It wasn't a title match or to earn a title shot. It was just the novelty. So I just want to insert that in there because I hadn't done an audio show other than my hotline for VIP members talking about that. I wanted to throw that in that that's the exception that sort of, I don't know if that's the exception that proves a rule, but that's an example of when it can work. It's just too bad they do it too much.
Yeah, I think it worked perfectly because I was thinking how do they, obviously Cody's world champ, size doesn't really matter in WWE, but I mean, Femi is so big. I was like, how are they going to justify his first loss against Cody, who he's significantly bigger than? Obviously, it doesn't matter in WWE, but just, first glance, I was like, that's kind of tough. But that was great. Great vibes. To start, sorry, I should have started with this. The vibe in the arena was great. Let's just start off. They gave a countdown. I'm not sure if you guys saw the countdown to the event. Did you guys see that on the screen?
No, I didn't.
I saw the countdown to Cena's match.
Yeah, so to start
Saturday's
main event, they gave a countdown starting at 1 minute, and then at 10 seconds they took it off. So everyone was like, "Gonna go 10," and then they turned it off. It was the weirdest thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone was super excited, and then they kind of pulled the rug out from underneath us. So that was kind of funny to hear people laughing.
Weird.
But yeah, the crowd was definitely anticipated for the event, but that was just kind of odd. They took off the countdown for the Saturday. Then they did the Pledge of Allegiance. Then it started. Then that match happened. The match number 2, I would say I don't think no one is really familiar with Soruka. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with her either. I think the crowd is completely unaware of who she was. So I'm not sure if you guys think she deserved that.
Did her acrobatics work in earning crowd interest in the match?
Yeah. She definitely. But it took her a little bit. I think it took that last. I'm not sure what the finisher is called.
Her finisher, yeah.
Yeah,
Soul Snatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely got people, oh, wow. And then when she won, it was a shock. I don't think no one expected her to beat Bayley. Yeah. So that kind of got people engaged. And then I feel like that was kind of the bathroom break as well. Not trying to be mean, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
And then they keep the countdown to AJ Styles and Dragon Lee and Javon Evans, Lee Slater. I've never heard. I've heard of Leon Slater,
Leon Slater, yeah.
and then he instantly got the crowd engaged. Like if no one knew who he was, they instantly knew who he was.
They didn't have a lot of time, but you could tell the goal was go, 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 go. Like just like it was like letting they were like watching the Australian Shepherd on the dog show where they run the course, and it's just like, holy shit, look at that dog. It's just jumping, rolling, and going under and over and all that. They just had like, I mean, they were just amazing athletes going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it was like stood out. And I think why they chose who they chose was Obafemi, future star. We're going to do this someday. Here's a teaser of it. So Ruka, it's like, okay, this is someone who we don't need a big backstory to. People will just be into her acrobatics. We can tell that they sold her story on commentary to introduce her, which was good. You know, you want that. I've been harping on AEW to do that. And talk to the audience that doesn't know. Don't make the audience that doesn't know feel stupid or left out or not like they're not the cool kids who have been following everything. And then you didn't even need those two, Joanne Evans and Leon, to have a backstory because they just showed what they could do in the ring. But I think that's why they chose them too, because a live crowd is going to be like, okay, all of a sudden I have this adrenaline rush of athleticism that is so different than what we saw with Cody, for instance, and Oba, just a whole different sport almost.
Yeah, it definitely felt like the aura of like two main event stars. The first match, second match, I feel like we could have benefited in the arena for those who didn't know about her. Third match, you guys agreed. It just stole the show. We're like, wow, this is amazing. Got us energy back up. And then the only thing of that match that got people turned off, obviously, is when AJ fell on the ropes. Because then the crowd was like, oh, wait, what's happening? Is he hurt? And then they kind of saved themselves. And then here's where I kind of put a little bit more notes. The crowd was rocking all night. When they put RVD in the screen, I'm not sure if you guys seen that.
Yep.
Humongous chant. Logan Paul easily got the loudest boo of the night. Like, it was deafening loud boo. Jalen Brunson got like a crazy chair. Don't know why. Vanessa Hutchinson got an amazing chair. Jelly Roll, big chair. Tom Brady had a reaction, but I don't know if it was good or not. Miz got a huge reaction coming out. I think they were shocked. We kind of seen him obviously come out beforehand, but when he said awesome, crowd went crazy. They loved that segment. They ate it up. When Joe Hendry came out, crowd literally ate it up. That was a great segment. I thought it came across perfect being there. I'm not sure how it came across on TV. I haven't watched it back yet, but it was that was great energy there. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me just, Kurt, ask Effie anything you want about his experience Saturday night.
Yeah, I wanted to ask who, other than Logan Paul, who had the most heat the entire night?
Gunther, 100%.
Even more than Triple H, like after the show?
Oh, no. no. I think
that's
Gunther,
what I was going to say.
Yeah, Gunther had like, let's join in. Let's be the crowd. We know he's a bad guy. Let's join in on it. And then Triple H was real, go home. He like, we hate you. 100%.
I could see that. Yeah, I think Triple H kind of came out of that whole thing with more heat than Gunther did up until tonight.
100%.
Some people said like that was also a rebellion on the booking this year, just in general. Like it was kind of pent up, and this was a release valve. It's not just that Cena lost, but it's like you were supposed to save us from bad booking, and this has been a mediocre year or a frustrating year for booking. I think Levesque would say, well, if I was in control and I didn't have other people higher than me in corporate, steering me in different directions, maybe I could do my thing. I think there's some agency he's had that he could have avoided some of the pushback. But the crowd reaction to Cena tapping out was really interesting because they weren't just sad; they were also mad in a meta sense. Like I've watched my team lose in overtime in NHL, like lose in overtime in the playoffs in a game 7 or a game 6 or whatever. It's overtime and the puck goes in and you just look at the crowd. And I mean, I've watched on TV other teams this happen. I love NHL playoffs, game 7, overtimes. I mean, they're just like amazing sports moments. And when the puck goes in and it's the away team winning, it's just crowd's deflated. But they understand it's a sport and that had a chance to happen. And in this case, the fans went through that. And a lot of them that's all they went through. They were just sad. They got pulled into the John Cena story. WWE did a brilliant job making you love John Cena and think he is this great, great person who does all these great things. It was a propaganda onslaught. And a lot of it was true, but it was still propaganda with a purpose. And it's their job to tell that feel good story. I mean, it just everything John Cena says is through the lens of what will market the John Cena character, not John Cena the person. And he has refined that skill, and that is where his focus has been his whole, really his whole career. The fans it worked. They
100%.
got the fans to care deeply about John Cena not giving up. And so they were sad, but then they got mad. And Effie, I said, this goes full circle to John Cena telling the crowd a decade and a half ago, whenever it was on Raw, I hope we entertained you. They've given the fans the permission to decide that it's their job. It's the fans' job to dictate whether they've been entertained in the proper way. As opposed to we're privileged to watch this. No, we get to decide what the outcome is. And this happened with Cyber Sunday and Taboo Tuesday. You tell us what the stipulation should be. They've given fans power for a long time. It was oftentimes people in the boardroom who don't watch wrestling and they think this would be a fun idea. But it's also people who've lost their way, I think, on the core of what makes pro wrestling work, which is, as a fan, you should feel privileged to be in that building, to watch these people fight for a prize. And instead, people go to the building going, you better entertain me, and I have a checklist of things that are going to make me happy. And if you don't give them to me, I'm gonna riot. If Cena wins, we riot. So I'll talk about what you experienced there, because it felt like it went from sadness to anger, but that anger was a meta thing that I haven't seen before, and it was remarkable. Not at that scale.
For 100%, I've been to so many events. Like I've said, I was at WrestleMania 30 when Brock beat Taker, and that was like a shock of like, oh wow, like what? Did that really happen? Mm-hmm. Then like you sunk it in, and it was like, wow, I kind of witnessed history here. I can't believe that happened. But it wasn't like anger. It was more like just shock. There, you felt people. I knew obviously Cena was going to lose. I know it. I've heard a million podcasts, and I get the booking of it. Like you go out on your back for the next younger talent. I get it. But the way it happened, like you said, I feel. I've been on the podcast about 3 or 4 times at this point. I think I'm always positive. This is the first time I left an event and I was like, wow. I don't agree with this. Like I don't agree with how it came across. I've always to be clear, and I think I understand, but I want to be clear. You're saying you disagreed with the booking, not you disagree with the fans' reaction to the booking. Being there, I agree with the fans being upset, not to the level they got mad at. I wasn't that level, but I just didn't agree with the tap out.
And that's fair. I mean, I want to be clear. I'm not against fans having an opinion. All I'm saying is WWE brought this permission structure on. They brought it on by pandering to the audience in a way that I felt was sort of patronizing, and I've been consistent for 2 decades saying they shouldn't be doing this, because wrestling is most entertaining when you feel you're seeing something that you're privileged to watch, not something that is an entertainment entity that you get to decide if it's lived up to your expectations. And that doesn't mean wrestling shouldn't be entertaining and the goal off camera shouldn't be to entertain. I just don't think it should ever be brought up on TV. Like, I don't want to watch a movie and have an actor 2/3 of the way right before the climax go, hope you've been entertained by this. Wait till you see the climax. Like, don't take me out of it like that. WWE does it all the time. Yeah. And so they paid a price for that. Kurt's been on the same journey. The reaction was, in the chat, a lot of people, I didn't like the tap. I didn't like the smile before the tap. He shouldn't have tapped. He should have gotten pinned. He should have won. I made the case all along. If Gunther's the opponent, Gunther should win. But I thought Gunther shouldn't be the opponent because I said the crowd in DC deserves to have a feel-good moment to end Cena's career. I think it's different than almost anybody else because of the way Cena's been framed. I think a lot of it is propaganda based on truth and a little spinning and a little editing, but it's their job to do it. And it's been effective. And so that's where I thought Dom would be perfect, because Dom can lose. I also advocated for, by the way, and I want to get you, and I hate to throw a pet idea that I had because it was more, I thought they were going to do it based on the story. It wasn't like my pet idea, but I brought it up enough. It sounds like a loaded question, but I'm still going to ask it. Do you think if Miz wasn't out there earlier, but instead after Cena tapped out, that Miz came out and gloated, and Cena then gave him an attitude adjustment and left him lying in the ring, and the crowd had something to cheer? Would that have offset some of the emotions, including the meta rebellion? Or would that have taken too much of the focus away from Gunther, which was more their goal than satisfying the DC crowd? It was, we want Gunther to have heat. So what would you think about that in terms of managing the crowd at home, even not just in the arena and their emotions?
I definitely think that would have been some mind games, but I think the crowd would have ate it up. Like, they'd be mad, they'd be like, oh, we can't be mad. Because the crowd was genuinely so happy to see the Miz. So I think even if that was like a go home moment, like off camera,
Yeah.
because we got exactly what you guys saw. People weren't leaving. They thought we were gonna get something else. We got nothing else. So if people left pissed off in the corridors, people were mad.
Should John Cena have addressed the crowd like off camera? It would be a social media moment. Obviously, everyone would have their cameras out. Should he have come back out, a little curtain call, and said, "Hey guys, you were great. I know you're upset that and actually, from a damage control standpoint, if Cena stepped out there and said, "Hey, I get what y'all are doing. You're yelling at Paul Levesque. He's the director of creative. It's 2025, but you know what? Let me just talk to you as John Cena, the wrestler in that ring," and kind of like wink and nod to him and go, "I'm retiring for a reason. I got nothing left. Gunther's in his prime. He beat me tonight. Respect that Gunther beat me. I had a great career." Like, had he just talked to them and said, "You guys, and he could have said, I would have lost 5 minutes or 10 minutes sooner if it weren't for the energy you brought me. Like put the crowd over." I mean, I know it would go viral and it would take away the anticipation of, I don't know what they're saving, but I don't know. I think something like that might have addressed some of what you're talking about, Effie.
100%. The crowd, I heard people around me saying, "What the F? He's not coming out. That's it. That's all we get." People were mad, like mad. And I'm not to that level, but I was definitely thinking about like, wow, I paid WrestleMania type prices for this ticket.
How much was it?
I paid $360 for last row in the arena.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was last row Viking season ticket holder for years in the 90s
nice.
during the Randy Moss era. So yeah, I love. I mean, it's a cool place to be because there's no one behind you, like
for sure. But
being irritated when you stand up.
But for sure, but the people in front of me wouldn't stop standing up. But whatever.
Oh
but
god, the signs. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
But there was only 4 matches, $360. I paid $360 for WrestleMania like 33 in Orlando for the risers right above the ring. I know inflation and stuff like that, but it's like to pay that much, and they sucked me in, like you said. They sucked me in for WrestleMania, for Boston, to try to go to DC, do all these events, and then I don't know. To me, I had better time in Boston, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think, Kurt, what do you think about WWE's how few matches they are putting on? There's, it's the TKO era, where in UFC you don't see every fighter every time, because you can't. Fighters take a year off in between fights, or months and months off in between fights. They have to. So it's this ensemble of different people every time you pay to see, and I think they're trying to get away with that. And it means the events are shorter and there's more commercial breaks. Pay-per-views didn't have commercials, now PLEs do. So there's a lot of things playing into it. But do you think it's a danger to have a sellout crowd in DC, Kurt, pay that kind of money, and they only get 4 matches, 3 of which they weren't really emotionally invested in going in?
Well, for the Saturday night's main event, I understand it because that's kind of the standard for most Saturday night's main events. It's 4 matches, maybe 5 tops, and like maybe a segment other than a segment and 4 matches. But for PLEs, I really have a problem with it, especially with Survivor Series where they only gave us 4 matches and there were like 15 to 20 minute breaks in between each match. Yeah, that I'm not cool with, especially when you're charging us the amount of money just to switch platforms from Peacock to ESPN and pay an extra $20, $30 a month. Yeah, and you're only going to give us 4 matches. Yeah, that's messed up. So yeah,
I think they should have dark matches for the fans in the building. I made that case for AW too. Like people paid in that first year before COVID and then right after COVID. If AW had all the top stars there, but they didn't put them on TV every week, but they had Kenny Omega and the Bucks, and I mean you can list the guys who often weren't there. If they had them there, but they were in warm-up matches or even better, that kind of old WWE TV taping approach of having a dark match after TV goes off the air, I think they'd be drawing more fans today. I think a lot of people bought tickets months ahead of time, and they only saw half the top stars at best that they expected to see. And I do worry, Effie, as we go around the horn again, fans are going to be like, the novelty of WWE being a hot product and just wanting to be there was fun. But for these prices, I need to see more top stars when I go.
It was bad. I mean, they milked the Cena thing. To touch it real quick, the Superstore, all Cena. There was not one thing anybody else.
Oh, wow.
It was all Cena shirts. It was 5 different shirts, all $40, all for I was there shirts. All sound like hotcakes. I'm sure I saw a reseller there. He had like 60 shirts. I'm not even exaggerating. Like people were buying them, flying off the shelves. So they milked the heck out of Cena. They got their money's worth, and then I feel like the fans aren't getting what we're paying for.
Yeah. All right, Effie, we're down to just a couple minutes here. Talk about other stuff from the weekend that you want. And yeah, we're up against the clock here, but yeah, tell us what stood out to you.
Well, there's one quick chant I was confused about for Gunther. They're saying that he can't wrestle. I felt like he was a ring general. I thought people were amped about him for the longest time. All of a sudden now he can't wrestle. That was confusing. But I mean, the atmosphere was great. I mean, Cena was Cena gear literally everywhere around the city.
Wow.
I had a great vibe. I mean, it was great positive vibes until the match happened. I think people truly believed Cena was going to win. I was kind of confused about that. I feel like there was all like the diehard fans. So I feel like they should be in the know, right, about the the ICW community. So that was confusing. But around the city, though, it was great. The Superstore was packed. People were, a bunch of vloggers there, a bunch of fans and young kids all seen it out. So
and people are fans of Cena because he's Peacemaker. He's like a star outside of wrestling. I mean, you're getting to see a movie star in essence in person and buy merchandise that people will comment to you about. I mean, Cena's is more than just WWE Cena now too, and I think that plays into a lot of the emotions and the sense of merch sales and celebrityhood that comes with him. Yeah, and I think people like him. I mean, I just think people think Cena's a good dude because of the Peacemaker, self-deprecating type media he does too, outside of wrestling media.
Yeah, I was at a bar like 3 hours for the event and chatting with some guy next to me. He said, "Oh, why are you here for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here for the WWE event," not thinking he's gonna know. He's like, "Oh, the John Cena thing." Literally everybody knew.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So he has that much star power. I feel like if he wasn't there, people would just be like, "Oh, that wrestling thing." You know how it is. So I think everyone around the city knew. Great vibes. But honestly, I kind of after it was kind of different than how it started. I would say that even outside the arena, it was really nothing positive, to be completely honest. So I definitely felt that energy. But overall, I mean, it was definitely historical. I'm glad I went, but just not happy with the product I got. But I guess taste comes with the territory. You go to some great events, you go to some bad ones. I want to say the bad one is just, I guess, didn't live up to hype in my view.
Fans were into the drama of Cena Gunther though. Like they pulled them because early on it looked like Cena was going to win in like 3 minutes. Like, oh my God, they're not going to do that, are they? Like it was just he's going to his finishing sequence, and then he kept going to it, and then they told the story of the sleeper, and he gets out, the sleeper, he gets out, and I mean they had the crowd in the palm of their hand for the main event. It was an effective match in that way.
Yeah, I mean, how would you think that would rank amongst, I guess, ending against Cena's all-time matches? Do you think it's up there, or do you think the drama of it brings people in? I'm not sure what you think, Kurt. Like, did you think that was justified at all?
I think it was a fitting final match for him, except for maybe the finish. But as far as some of his best matches, it's really hard to rank it as high as his matches with Punk, his matches with Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. I can't really rank it to that degree.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like the AJ match. There was a novelty aspect to it because of the retirement aspect to it. Kurt, I thought you came around on the finish. Now you're saying the finish was bad. I thought you were coming around to accepting it or being.
Well, I've learned to accept it a little more, but it's still a polarizing one. Like I'm still not 100% okay with it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Effie, thanks so much. Glad we got you. Come on.
See you, Kurt.
Thanks. Yep, really appreciate that. It was really interesting here. In-person perspective from there. All right, we had 2 super chats. I'll read them. We don't have time to give them justice because they came in so late. Nima Pazar says, Bret Hart, John Cena, Roman Reigns. Where do you rank them in terms of how big of a draw they were? Bret Hart, easy number 3. Cena and Reigns, different eras, different criteria. Roman was part of sparking a boom period, but a lot of it was during COVID. I think that's a tough comparison. We'd have to spend more time on it than we have on the show to kind of break down the criteria. Cena certainly was around a lot longer, but Roman, it paved the way for what we're seeing now with these crowds. What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah, it's I would probably say Cena number 1 for the longevity and for him being relevant for a time they really needed it. Reigns number 2, especially for these last few years from 2023 on. And Bret number 3, as much as I love him, admittedly, he was a top star during a time when business was not good. But he still kept the lights on despite it not being good.
And finally, thanks for the super chat, by the way. Another super chat from Derek Mitchell. Why did a 60-man tournament decide John Cena's final opponent while Braun Breaker was just given a world title shot by pitting Punkets? So, Survivor Series, shouldn't the title shot always be earned? Yes. I mean, it'd be great with the television that they have to produce now and the rapid-fire way that they book and tell stories. I mean, it's not as arbitrary as sometimes AEW is, but, I mean, in a War Games match, you pin me, so now you get a title shot. I mean, it's a little flimsy, but they're not consistent with it. So this is not inconsistent, Kurt, because they're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, it's crazy. Consistently inconsistent.
Yep. Kurt, any quick closing words from you as we sign off?
I did like the Usos and New Day match. It was kind of like a trip down memory lane. I don't know if this is a demotion for Jey Uso, but it's at least, you know, giving a new spark to the tag division, at least for the time being.
Yeah. Very good. I'll run down the whole show start to finish for VIP members on the Wade Keller hotline. Thank you, Kurt, for joining us. Thanks to our callers, everyone in the chat, and appreciate it. Like the show, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.
Take care.